Morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. Thank you so much for joining us for our very special webinar as we introduce brand new rental home opportunities for our real estate investors and investors in our network. So, thank you again for joining us. Zach, are you available? Today, we will be learning from Zach Henderson. And it's a pleasure to have Zach. Zach Henderson is the Director of Asset Management for Elux Management, a subsidiary of Elux. Zach brings to the team close to 2 decades of real estate experience, ranging from community development, construction management, real estate financing, fund management, and property management. Zach's role in asset management is to ensure quality assets are procured and maintained to the Elux standard of excellence. Thank you so much for joining us, Zach. It's such a pleasure to be with you and to see you today and to learn from you.
Thanks, Linda. Appreciate the kind words and the wonderful intro.
Wonderful. So I know you have a presentation so that we can learn more about the Elux homes and the opportunities that are available. Would you like to go ahead and start that presentation?
Yeah, that would be great. And before that, I'll jump into a little bit, expand a little bit on further regarding Elux and who Elux is and everything.
Yes,
So,
please.
as you were saying, my role with Elux, I do everything from helping to source projects to the involved with property management and asset management, along with some construction and development roles as well. But as a whole, Elix is a very vertically integrated company. You were touching on it through that introduction. It's everything from development and sourcing of projects through potentially construction and overseeing construction. In addition to that, it has a property management division and a full brokerage. And so it really is a full service turnkey type operating shop to where even once you post transaction and acquire, Elux is involved from a long-term perspective, from a property management perspective, and has generally been involved in projects for a very long time. So with that, we'll jump in on this opportunity and what we're talking about here. It is currently this project is the focus of this project or this presentation is on a project located in Kansas City, specifically on the Kansas side. It's Woodland Crossing. And so with Woodland Crossing, if you're familiar with Kansas City, it is located on the Kansas side of the metro within Johnson County. We would consider this a very much a Class A product. It is comprised of 60 single family homes that we already have around 20 or 25 of those that are built and leased with more under construction. Rent ranges are anywhere from $25.95 up to $31.95 for 3, 4, and 5 bedroom homes. So these are very much a Class A type project. So with Woodland Crossing, I mean, it's very turnkey. It's very already completed, already leased up. It's in the path of growth within Johnson County within Spring Hill. And so with that, jumping into the location specifically here, I'll jump around a little bit, but South Johnson County is really the path of growth within this portion of the KC Metro and has been for the last 20 or 30 years. The Metro just keeps growing this direction. So within, a 12-minute commute, you have Garmin, the world headquarters of Garmin, which is roughly 3 to 4 miles away. You also have Panasonic putting in a battery plant that's about to open up. That's roughly a 15 to 20-minute commute away. That's going to employ thousands of people, and it's just part of the start of a bigger commercial project there that will bring substantial jobs to the Kansas City metro area. In addition to that, downtown Kansas City is roughly a 20 to 25-minute commute. A lot of the jobs are in South Johnson County, though, in Overland Park and Leawood and different areas like that in Olathe. And generally speaking, from this location or this project, you're anywhere from a 15 to 20-minute commute to almost all those job centers. So like I was saying, Panasonic, Garmin, all those are very close to this project within the easy drive to those. So getting into some of the product itself and what we put into it, as you can see in the photo here, these are very, very high-end Class A product. I mean, all high-end appliances, soft close cabinets, quartz countertops, very good lighting packages. We also build them from a long-term rental perspective, hold in mind. And so with that, we do things that help to reduce the maintenance from a long-term perspective. There is no carpet in these homes. The only carpet would be on the stairs, which is very common in this market to have stair carpet. Other than that, the bedrooms and everything are very high quality LVT that is very, very durable. But also very, very attractive from a look and feel perspective. And so we very much look to drive down operating costs from an expense perspective with maintenance and everything, as that's generally one of the largest expenditures from a long-term ownership. For those who don't know about Johnson County as a whole, I think the average household income within a 5-mile radius or a 3-mile radius within from this project is in the 130, 140 range. But you can see here most United States is in gray, Johnson County is in the teal color. You can see most of the household earnings are 6 figures and above within the Johnson County area of the Kansas City Metro. So again, very white, lots of white collar jobs, lots of financial services jobs, engineering jobs, tech, healthcare, everything in Johnson County is generally a higher earning type household. Commute times, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but generally speaking, anywhere from 10 to 25 minutes is a very common commute time and a very acceptable commute time within the Kansas City Metro, which is where this project falls. Getting into some of the floor plans, again, I touched on it earlier, but just to dive further into those. This project is comprised of 3, 4, and 5-bedroom floor plans. We have had really good luck on the leasing with the 4 and 5-bedroom. 3-bedroom always goes well, but you do have more competition in the 3-bedroom space. You're competing with apartments, you're competing with townhomes, you're competing with a lot of other product. Whereas with the 4 and 5-bedroom, you're really getting into an offering to the consumer that nobody else really has the ability to offer. You're not competing with apartments. Your townhome competition is going to be pretty minimal. And so offering that to a family that is needing to move out of a 3-bedroom and step into something larger, but is not quite ready to buy, which is definitely what we're seeing on a macroeconomic times right now with interest rates and everything and prices. And so it creates a very attractive rent versus purchase equation from a tenant perspective to rent a nice 4 or 5-bedroom home that is essentially the same thing that they would potentially acquire. So I don't think I mentioned it, but all the homes are 2-car garage. And some have basements, some are 2-story, it just depends. So this is the Adeline plan, which is the 3-3. This is the Brooklyn plan, which is a basement plan. It is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom. Rents on this plan are coming in right below $3,000 a month. Again, quartz countertops, it finishes interior wise are very, very similar throughout. Washer and dryers included, all the window treatments, blinds, everything's included from a rent ready perspective. And as I was saying, all these are rented currently. This is the 5-bedroom plan. Those are currently renting at $31.95 a month. It is a variation of a ranch with a basement, just with an additional bedroom and bathroom in the basement, making it a 5-bedroom, 4-bath. And this is the other 4-bedroom variable plan, which is a 4-bed, 3-bath, a story and a half type living. And so definitely appeals more for families with kids and kids in elementary or middle school or potentially even high school. So speaking a little bit to the property management services that go along with this and how that works. Um, Elux is a very technology focused property management company. So you have your online portal, the tenant has a portal, the owner will have a portal, everything is uploaded, everything from maintenance invoices to your monthly owner statements, any invoices associated with the property that are expensed out, you have your monthly owner statements, everything is ACH from a monthly distribution perspective. Um, Tenant, they have a very technology focused experience. They have an app they can submit all their work orders through. They have they pay all the rent online, all the leases, everything are all electronically done. So it's a very seamless process from a leasing perspective, and is very up to date with modern times and with modern requirements on property management. With our property management, we handle everything in our property management fees, from leasing to advertising, tenant placement, everything is all included. There's nothing outside of the fees that we talk about. So we are property management is very equipped and has been for a long time to work with out of state investors. And so that's again going back to the technology and everything. That is the focus of Elux, is to cater to that out of state investor and give a very smooth and seamless experience from that perspective. I'll jump into the pro forma here, unless Linda, do you want to jump into some questions, or do you want to jump into the pro forma and then jump into some more questions?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Zach. Thanks for that great presentation. We really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who is joining us here on this webinar. We really appreciate your time. And we are opening it up to questions. So let us know if we can answer any questions for you about this investment, these properties that are available, whether it be about the actual properties or elect homes. Let us know, what questions you have. And let's see, Zach, I did come up with some questions to kick things off. So if you're ready, we can go ahead and tackle these in the beginning while we have questions from the audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Now, Zach, what is the area and the neighborhood like? It seems like a really family-oriented, quiet neighborhood. I love the fact that they're new construction because that just really, brings so much value and beauty to a neighborhood. Can you talk a little bit about the area?
Yeah, Spring Hill is a suburb of Kansas City, so you're very much in a suburban life, and so this is very much, giving that feeling of a family living in a subdivision, living in a home and everything that they don't have to buy, but it feels like they own. I mean, from a yard perspective, they're getting all the benefits as if they own a home and that they have already purchased one. Surrounding area, I mean, you're surrounded on almost all sides by single family homes within this neighborhood, a lot of which are owner occupied, or I would almost say the majority of which are owner occupied. So again, from a tenant perspective, and we really focus on the consumer approach, or consumer's perspective whenever we're putting projects together. And with that, I mean, it's very much focused on giving the consumer an experience as if they own the home, because typical demographic and our target demographic for these homes are anything from anybody from stepping out of needing a bigger home because they're a growing family, or have just matured past the need in their life for an apartment and wanting to step up. That's typically the 3-bedroom renter, depending on if both, if two people work from home or not. And then empty nesters are the ones that are typically stepping down out of a home. And so a lot of times the 3 or 4-bedroom fit their needs. And then obviously, families with kids who are stepping up with either additional kids or needing to work from home. It doesn't take a whole lot anymore to need 4 and 5 bedrooms, especially with 1 or 2 kids and then one spouse working from home. And so we'll see. Long term, we have seen generally pretty sticky tenants from the perspective that once they get into a school district, they get settled into the home from a perspective of learning who their neighbors are and the area and everything. It's they generally stay a while. That's the good part about this. And so the goal is to create long-term tenancy, because obviously higher occupancy and less turnover and everything creates a more profitable investment for everybody.
Wonderful. Now, I understand that County has a really great school district as well. So I'm sure a lot of people move to this area for that reason. Can you touch upon that, please?
Yeah, Johnson County, it has a lot of school districts that are really good. This one is located within the Spring Hill School District. And so Spring Hill just, I believe it was 4 years ago, just opened up new schools right down the road. So these are roughly a 6-minute commute from the school, maybe less even, from the brand new schools that were just built. Great facilities, highly rated schools, growing school district, obviously, but very sought after and is really poised for all the growth that's happening in Spring Hill and this part of the Johnson County within this part of the metro. And it's really, poised to continue growing out here with the schools and all the facilities that I've put in and road expansions as well to go in with that to handle traffic and everything.
Wonderful. That is fantastic and so nice to hear that. That's certainly a plus for people moving in as renters.
Yes.
Now, can you share a little bit about Elux Homes and the company itself?
Yeah, I'll jump further into the property management side and how it's structured and everything. So it's a little different on the property management side from a owner experience and a tenant experience, relative to other property management companies and those type of experiences. So, we structured the management within that to essentially two different sides of the house, so to speak, within the company. And from that perspective, I mean, we have the property management side and the leasing side, which is consumer facing and manages all of the tenant things that arise, whether it's inquiries to lease a property and showings or work orders and maintenance, resolving issues for them, lease renewals, all those types of things. That's our property management side of the house within the business. And then the other side of the company is what we refer to as the asset management side of the property management division. And with that, you'll have an account rep within that side of the business that is focused on nothing but handling the owners of the property. And they basically are your advocate within the company. What we had seen in the past and what we have seen consistently still with a lot of other property management companies and experience ourselves through over the years of doing business and everything is a lot of property management companies. They have the property managers who are handling the tenants and also handling the owners, and it's just the same people. And so the events that typically play out from an owner's perspective is that the property manager who's dealing with the consumer and the tenant has them right in front of them trying to resolve their issue, and it kind of gets lost on the owner and what's also fair to the owner within the situation. And a lot of times it's resolved in a way that's not favorable to the owner, but by the time the owner finds out about it, it's essentially too late. And it's already been resolved in a way that wasn't favorable to them. So we created essentially an internal checks and balance for the owner, where the account rep on the asset management side is basically looking at it from the perspective of, is this maintenance? Does it really need to be done this way? Is the tenant correct in the situation? All these types of things that the property managers who are handling the consumer side have to get approval internally within the asset management side as well for things that are going to go out from an expense perspective, things that are just detrimental to the overall ownership and profitability of owning projects or property and property investments. And so in addition to that, the asset management tries to, depending on the portfolio and the owner's desires, look at quarterly performance on the property, look at annual performance. We try to take if the owner wants it, take a look at additional things that can potentially help them from the perspective of property taxes, insurance rate, and really giving that holistic approach within the property management company of, how's this property really performing? Is it performing under market? Is it, and this is where the brokerage side of the business of Elux comes into play, where if the property's not performing, then maybe maybe the investor needs to trade out of that one because something's changed from when they bought in, 5 years ago or 10 years ago or something. Maybe it's time to trade out of it. And so, it's a very holistic approach. And so that's how we, as Elux as a whole and as an ecosystem, that's how Elux tries to approach it.
Wonderful, Zach. That's fantastic. Tell us a bit about the typical down payment for these properties. What are we looking at? 20% or what's the
So
typical?
generally speaking, 25 to 30%. It depends on number of properties financed. I'll let Steve jump in here in a minute with this, but we do have a special financing program where it can be as low as 5.99% interest. And Steve can speak more to that, but yeah, 25 to 30% down is generally what the lenders are looking for this type of product.
Okay. And we will be bringing Steve up shortly from First Colony so he can explain the fantastic financing program that they have available just for these properties. So we'll bring him up in a minute. Um, tell us about HOAs. Are there any homeowner association dues for these properties, Zach?
So this project does have an HOA established and everything. I believe the dues are $15 a month. It's very small. It's just for essentially mowing common areas and things that are not public. They're still private, and so they're still handled and owned by the HOA. And so there's a small amount of dues for that and the maintenance of those things. But yeah, HOA dues are very minimal.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, $15 is truly very minimal. Fantastic. So there are common areas in the development then.
There are, yeah.
Wonderful. Can you share with us the return on investment for these properties? Do you,
Yeah, I'll jump back on
yeah.
this. So depending on what metric you look at and everything, using again, plugging in the 5.99% financing on 30-year amortization. I did run this model on 30% down versus 25. So that would change a little bit, but you're around $300 a month in cash flow. And we are doing the first year property management for free. I wanted to point that out. And so, that depending on when you exit and everything, that should, put an investment in the mid to upper teens is what we would expect on something like this over a 5-year hold. Again, I want to reiterate, these are Class A properties. Your tenant profile is, generally a 6-figure household income, 700 credit scores. I mean, these are very, very nice properties. And, from the perspective of, interruption to cash flow, risk of cash flow from vacancy, eviction risk, all those types of things, credit underwriting of tenant. These are very much lower risk than other classes of property. So you are lower cash flow on these in the short term, but I believe as the market grows and as things go on, I believe you'll outpace the market on rent growth with these, just because the path of growth is in Johnson County, the asset class it is, the type of asset is within the asset class of single family and everything, and how much demographic demand that we're seeing going into that asset class. I will add, we do have other projects that cash flow a little bit better than this, but are more along the lines of, I would consider like a B or a B plus single family new construction. We do have some other projects coming down the pipeline along those lines that do cash flow a little bit better, along with some other additional duplexes coming down the pipeline as well from a construction perspective.
Great. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Zach?
No, I think I've covered pretty much everything. Probably good for Steve to jump in with some financing discussion.
Well, Steve, would you like to come on up and share your information about financing?
I am here. Linda, it says I'm trying to
Hello.
start my video. It says you got to start my video for me.
Oh, okay. One moment, please.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and turn your video on. There we go.
Not that everybody wants to see me this morning, but that's fine.
Well, I went ahead and gave you permission, Steve. Wonderful. Now, Steve,
There we go.
there we go. Now, Steve Bighouse, who I have known for, oh, wow, at least 15 years, long time. Mr. Big House
in a
is
few years.
joining us from First Colony Mortgage, and he is an expert in investment property financing with 35 years experience. Stephen, along with his son Jason Big House, have financed thousands of 1 to 4 family homes for investors across the United States. As a top 1% originator in the United States, Stephen has invited to be a guest on William Shatner's Moving America Forward, which highlighted his accomplishments with real estate financing. You could not be in better hands securing your financing with Team Big House. Hello, Steve.
Thank you, Linda. Great. Thank you very much for the great opening for me. Kind of tough to follow up with that one, but anyway, Zach and I, we've known each other for a few years. Okay, and I worked on some other projects with him in the past, and we started talking about this, the Woodlands Crossing and some of the other things that he did, and then of course with First Colony, which has just been absolutely amazing for us because what they were able to do, along with the gentleman that they have in their secondary market, Dave Bennett, who I've worked with Dave for years, and so we were able to go out there and buy some forward commitments, buy some cheap money from Fannie Mae, and so we've bought it right now. We bought it in $1 million blocks, and so currently the block that we have right now is 5.99%. It's a 30-year fixed loan with no there's no prepayment penalty on it, so it's a great it's a great product, and I think it will satisfy a lot of the investor needs. We have seen some improvement on pricing, a little bit. The Feds are going to meet in September. Once we run out of this one, we can, once we're able to fill this commitment out, we can go out and we can buy some more, and then of course Zach and myself and then our secondary market department can talk about how much they want to reserve by doing this. So this is not something that you see a lot of companies do. You've really got to have a strong secondary market background. Somebody like Dave Bennett, that is in charge of our secondary market, he's got the experience to do this. The First Colony already does this with a lot of their builders. So this is kind of a unique concept with them buying the forward commitments. And it's just making making things a little bit more profitable for everybody involved. And so it's just, for me, I'm really excited about the opportunity to be able to do this. Like Linda said, myself and that I've been doing this for about 35 years. I was a community banker for about half of my career. And then I moved over working with the investors. And so kind of like wrote the book on that one. Jason, he's been with me for about 12, 13 years now. And we've just really, really, have grown the business. The market changed a little bit in the latter part of, and so, inventory got a little bit short. Plus my age, I'm slowing down a little bit. And so we're doing some things there. But, if anybody's got any questions, I'm open to questions right now. Linda, you're muted.
Yes, hello. Wonderful. We'll definitely type in your questions in the chat, folks. We definitely want to answer any questions that you have about the financing, about Elex Homes. I do have some questions to get things started, Steve. Now, we talked a little bit about the down payment needed to get started with these properties. Can you discuss this a little bit further, please?
Sure. We the model that we have right now is for 25% down payment. 75% is like the sweet spot with Fannie Mae. It's also with Freddie Mae, and it's with a lot of the investors right now. It's just a good place to be, and so you're going to get optimal pricing putting that 25% down. Now you can go lower, change slightly, but where the big cutoff is in that is, you put 40% down. That's like that's like the mother load there, as far as rates go. But the majority of clients right now, 25%, that's pretty standard. That's what a lot of CMI investors do. We opted not to do the 80% route because the pricing was a little bit more expensive, and we felt that we could do better at the 25% down.
Okay, wonderful. Now, you've assisted many out-of-state investors in acquiring properties for almost, how long has it been? Has it been 20 years or?
Well, that's probably about right. I
Mhm.
would say I moved away from banking around 2005. I was working with investors that were going to the auctions. And then around 2008, I'd say 2008, 2009 is when I branched out into Memphis. And then from there it was just history and started doing that. So, 2008, 2009. So it's been a few years.
And you do have investors from throughout the country. I've, spoken with many investors and they really are all over. Why are you so passionate about helping investors get started in real estate or grow their portfolio, Steve?
Oh, yeah, I'm always kind of a numbers guy. So the thing that I like with investors and that it's all about the numbers. It's not about it's not that it's a pretty house. It could be the ugliest house on the block, but if the bones are secure and it has good cash flow, why not buy it? So I've always enjoyed the mentality of the investors, helping them grow their portfolio. We've got some, big satisfaction ratings for some of our investors. We've been able to help them retire early, build their real estate portfolio for retirement. So it's a real good feeling to see that. And then of course the investors, it's not a lot of times it's not just a one-time shot. They'll come back to us and that and buy multiple properties. So we really developed those relationships. What was nice in that was when I was traveling a lot, is at speaking events, I get to meet the investors, face to face. So I'm kind of an old guy, and I always liked that personal attention that I was able to give investors.
So you can definitely rest assured that Steve will be providing great personal attention to all of our investors for sure. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Steve or Zach?
Well, Jason and I are just, yeah, thank you, Linda. Jason and I are just not your typical conventional lenders, okay? I built my career around customer service. And so that was part of my community banking career. Community banks never got all the business because they were the cheapest people on the block. That's just not it. They did it because of customer service. And so I've always taken that and put it into my mortgage business. And when I say that, I tell people, I says, I'm not a 9 to 5 guy. So if you need to call me after hours or Jason after hours, I'm always available on the weekends. I like to make sure that I'm prompt on emails, text messages, and phone calls, as far as leaving those. And so I think that's really important. And a lot of people have recognized me for that customer service. So that's where we're at. So in addition to having a great product provided by Zach, we've got some great interest rates. And obviously you're helping that. I think that it's just a win-win situation for everybody all the way around.
I would like to point out that there are limited amount of properties available right now. Zach, can you talk a little bit about that and the opportunity with this particular um, development?
Sorry, did the same thing. We're actually only taking roughly 15 to 20 of these to market to actually to for investors, making them available to investors. The rest, I believe, we're going to hold longer term on our balance sheet. So yeah, I think we only have a few of those available at this point that have not been contracted on. So yeah, this project is almost done and uh, moving past it. And then, like I said, we do have other projects coming up, slightly different variables, but still new construction, still geared towards the same type of demographic of, families, expanding families, empty nesters, those types of things, with just slightly different price points and maybe in the higher 300s price point versus the upper 400s, but maybe not quite as good of an area as Johnson County, but still within the KC Metro. So different green apple to red apple, but pros and cons to each scenario. So once these are gone, we do have other projects coming up as well.
Wonderful. Well, folks, we really appreciate your time in joining us, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have. So if you do have questions, we encourage you to type them right in the chat. And we would love to answer any questions you have. I do see from the attendees some familiar names. Thank you so much for joining us today. I see some influencers who have investors that look up to them for making decisions. So we thank you for being here and participating in this webinar, and we hope that you consider Elex Homes and this development for your investors and for members in your group. So, Steve, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think I'm pretty good. I'd like to say I'm just really excited about the opportunity to be involved with Zach, and then obviously Linda, you. We go ways back. I'm just looking forward to moving forward with it, and that's it's going to be a good thing.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, folks. And we are recording this webinar, so we will be making this available to those that were not able to join us. Also, if you have investors that may be interested in looking in this project or are considering investments for their portfolio, you can definitely share this webinar with them, and we encourage you to do so. So from all of us at Realty 411, we thank you for your time, and we hope to see you at one of our live events or another virtual event very soon. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.